I gave the vintage teddy bear Lucy when she was 10. And she named him Mr. Pickle. He sits on the pillow of a bed made military tight with institutional linens tucked into hospital corners. The chronically underwhelmed little bear stares blankly at me, his black red mouth turned down into an inverted V, and I must have imagined he'd be happy as grateful when I rescued him. It's an irrational thing to think when we're talking about a stuffed animal, especially when the person having these thoughts is a lawyer, a scientist, a physician, presumed to be coolly clinical and logical. On gardening in southern homes in a boutique area of Richmond, Virginia called Carytown. He was dressed in a dingy knitted white smock, and I stripped him. I repaired several tears with sutures worthy of a plastic surgeon and placed him in a sink of tepid water, shampooing him with an antibacterial color-safe soap, then drying him with a blow dryer set on cool. I decided he was male and looked better without smocks or other silly costumes. I tune out Marino and the Trooper, keeping my eyes on the display on my phone. Seconds tick by on the video and the dorm room stays empty. Nobody is there but Mr. Pickle on Lucy's military-looking, uncomfortable, ungenerous bed. It's as if the white sheets and tan blankets have been spray-painted on a thin, narrow mattress with its single flat pillow, and I hate beds made as tight as a drum. I avoid them every chance I get. My bed at home with its plush Posturepedic mattress, its high thread count linens, and down-filled duvets is one of my most cherished luxuries. It's where I rest, finally. Where I have sex, finally. Where I dream, or better yet, don't. So, according to my really good John Thomas Dye Westlake School math, 25 books, you have written 9,842 pages about case Scarpetta.
Oh my God, I was overwhelmed before. I wish you hadn't done that.
Yeah. People assume that you basically are Scarpetta. And so
it's about 5 minutes, and when they talk to me for a while, they know, oh God, she's not Scarpetta. But I am an English major. How many times do I have to tell everyone? I am an English major who dropped science in college, fled from computers, wouldn't go to a funeral. So of course I became a computer programmer more, because that's what happens when you won't do things.
I understand, but there's this transference when you love a writer. You really have to believe that you know so much more than probably you know. I mean, you're ultimately a geek, I think. I mean,
well, that is exactly what I wasn't thinking the hot part, but I wasn't. I see myself naked, please.
It was like geeks to me were, geeks. Honey, we all went to high school. We all know who the geeks are. But I'm saying you clearly are a nerdy, geeky person.
What I do get, I have this happen a lot when people call me Dr. Cornwell. And I'm not a doctor, but I don't correct them either. So I do get that. And of course, I hang around with the police a lot. A lot of my very best friends are law enforcement people. And we talk about cases. We share ideas. So yes, I do a fair amount of that with people who are in the field. We talk about things, and it's fun. Depressing, but fun. And I actually know a bookstore owner who, when he got a copy of Postmortem, he was so offended by the fact that this hero was a woman. He went through his copy and turned all the pronouns into male ones to see if it would read better as a male. And he said it didn't read so well that way either. Maybe he didn't like it at all, but anyhow. And I said, why would you even do that? He said, because a woman shouldn't be doing these things or be in a place like that. And I found, the morgue, found it very disturbing. And I said, oh, but the morgue is full of women. They're just usually not standing up. So actually, that is exactly where a woman should be, thank you very much, is taking care of other women and children and people who are overpowered by violent human beings. So, but yes, and I even had, somebody came up to me once, maybe I shouldn't say it, but it's a true story.
Did they want you to initialize it?
Well, there was some
Take
discussion
it,
because
Patricia.
my initials are PD and then the PD Cornwell, which was really similar to PD James. Beyond that, there's not much similarity. She was a much bigger writer than I was when I was getting started. But no, I did it. I left it the way it was, and I have never tried to hide behind my gender or anybody's gender. I think, you know what, I'm a female. I'm writing about powerful women. Some of the best people out there, crime busters, are women. And I'm not gonna listen to this crap. So
we're happy you did, but
it stopped me from trying, and those people too. I mean, yes, it's nobody's been able to do this, and I don't even know why. It's a really karmic, weird thing. It's like every time Scarpetta comes to this town, and I hope she's here somewhere right now, I turn around and say, where the hell did she go? She's gone again. But I don't know why, but it's really strange. I've had people tell me they don't even understand it. 25 years, and consistently these books are always in the very top of the bestseller list when they come out, and yet still no one's been able to make that work. So, but you know what? If it had happened a long time ago, then it wouldn't happen now. I'd rather it happen now. I think it's going to be more fun if it happens now.
Well, we'll be very. Every single person's here.
We need to see her.
Yeah.
I heard her tonight. Now I want to see her. This is fun.
The scenes in your books were based off of what you saw come through the doors when you were working as the chief medical examiner's office in Virginia. If yes, what scenes, in what books, and what pages? Casey Thomas.
Are you sure that wasn't from my editor? But anyway, no, they're really, I get ideas from things I've seen, but in terms of actual cases,
They're all invented.
They're invented because what I do, this is the thing, this is why I know Scarpetta really probably should fire me, is I spend a lot of time trying to figure out how I'm going to trick her with evidence that I'm leaving. So that you look at something and you think this is what it means and it's not what it means. And that's what's really fun is if you know enough, you can start turning it inside out and upside down and having it tell you the truth, but it's not the real story. And that's the stuff I put her through, which is why she never sleeps anymore. She hardly ever eats, and that's what I do.
Lecture series at my home, privately with a group of my friends.
How come I hadn't been invited to that? You were just
Well, you live
away.
This is actually people who live in Brentwood, but it's fine. Boston's fine. We can put you in with some technology, I'm sure. But what I love the way he describes it when he's first talking about the book, he talks about the book and he says, but I imagine that he had or she had this book on her desk while she was writing. He'll talk about it vis-a-vis other literature that is written before that book and what the influence is. What books are on your desk?
What a nosy question.
Sorry.
50 Shades of K, from Harry Potter's Field. I'm blind. But those would have been good titles if I thought of, because I did write from Potter's Field. If I just put Harry in front of it, and it's the same thing, 50 Shades of K, if I thought of it first. But I'm a little, anyway, what book do I have on my desk?
But I'm saying, what books
I'll tell you.
would you have on your desk that would be books that would be good, informative representations for you?
Well, it would be a very strange thing that I'll tell you what I actually do keep on my desk. I always have a couple copies of Hemingway. And one book in particular called The Garden of Eden, and the reason I will just flip through it, I also have it on my phone, is it really talks about the life of a writer. The main character is a guy off in Europe on his honeymoon, and he's a novelist. It's obviously young Ernest. I mean, everything was based on him. Because writing is hard, and when I would read these scenes, and I turned to the same ones of this writer going off to his room on the ocean and opening the windows and sitting down to start his day and wondering what kind of day it's going to be, because he's going to be in Africa in his mind, but in body he's sitting in Europe. And I do that to remind myself I'm not the only one on this planet who does this and feels this way, and it's a shared experience for a moment, because writing is isolative. And so when I can read about somebody else who feels what I do, I take great comfort and it gives me energy to go on with my day of writing.
Hemingway. Who knew? Would you have called Hemingway?
And I like to give people all these degrees. You know why? Because I didn't get into graduate school. Everyone I applied to turned me down. So I fantasize about being a lawyer. That's why I don't stop people when they call me doctor. Because just that 1 minute, it feels so good.
I'm going to ask the last question. Because we've talked a lot about your book, a little bit about, fascinatingly, a little bit about your early childhood. I want to talk about your life with Stacy. I just want to talk about the relationship and the home that you have built together, and your, just without getting too personal, I just wanted to acknowledge that there's a really strong and beautiful relationship.
There sure is.
And
you know, I just wish I had met her 500 years ago because she is my favorite person on the planet. We have so much fun. We just are so much alike in the important ways, and I so respect and admire her. She's, you know, she, as you probably saw a few minutes ago, she could do anything, but she gave up musical theater to go ahead and go into psychiatry and neuroscience and all the things that she does because she wanted to help people. So I begged her, I said, please do your music again, and if you don't mind, I'd love it. Just write, you know, like 8 or 9 or 10 songs, you know, like this, and then just get the band, get a band together and perform a few of my things. Do you mind?
There is a house at the end of a road, standing tall but laying bare. It was filled with life and love and laughter, but now no one's ever there.
But yes, I must have done something right to have this happen to me, to find her. And I think that maybe, you think we can get them to play one more song?
Oh, I know we can.
In fact, I know what, there is one else, it's called Life is Good, and Scarpetta would say, life is good.
Life is good.